Once upon a time, in the distant past, a herd of black deer lived in the Cholistan desert. Among the rolling brown sand dunes, there was one patch of green earth. There, the deer's favorite limb and daman grass grew thick and plentiful. Nearby stood a small natural pond that filled whenever it rained. The deer spent their days grazing, and whenever they felt thirsty, they drank from the pond. Life was peaceful, and the herd lived happily. There were deer of every age in that herd, and among them was a young deer, mischievous and full of energy. He loved his mother dearly, and she loved him even more. Whenever they went out to graze, the young deer would sprint far ahead. Sometimes he climbed one dune, then rushed down and climbed another. Sometimes he would deliberately run to the far side of a dune and disappear from sight, making his mother anxious. She warned him again and again not to go too far. He might lose his way, or worse, fall prey to some hunter. He promised to listen, yet his mischief never stopped. Often he would hide and watch his mother search desperately. After a little game of hide and seek, he would suddenly appear, and only then would his mother breathe in relief. In this way, the days kept passing.
But time never stays the same. For years, not a single drop of rain fell on Cholistan. The grazing ground dried up, and the pond turned into cracked earth. A terrible drought set in. Many young and old deer began to die of hunger and thirst. Life and death now hung in balance. The herd debated what to do. Should they migrate to some other land where water and grass could be found, or should most remain and only a few go search for water nearby? But the young deer thought only of his mother. Exhausted by thirst and hunger, she could barely move anymore.
"Mother," he said softly, "if we don't find water, we'll die." "If this is what is written for us," she replied weakly, "then so be it." "Mother, I'm going to search for water," he said firmly. "You might fall into a hunter's trap," she warned. "I cannot watch you die of thirst," the young deer insisted. The mother looked helplessly at her son, then up at the sky, and finally rested her head on the sand. It was clear. She had lost all hope. The young deer could no longer bear her helplessness. Without waiting for the herd's decision, he leapt away toward the north. In the desert, a deer runs as if gliding over water. In moments, he was far, far away, but no water in sight. Then he turned east, hoping he might find water there. He did find a pond, but it too was dry. He did not give up. He turned south, but still no sign of water. Gathering all his strength, he finally turned west. It was late afternoon when suddenly he came face to face with a hunter riding a camel. The young deer saw the hunter readying his bow. He was exhausted and could barely run. But when life itself is at stake, strength somehow returns. The hunter raised his bow. The deer stared directly at him. The moment the arrow flew, the deer darted wildly, but in his desperate run, he crashed into a thorny kikar tree. His legs broke under the impact. He could neither stand nor move. His entire body ached, and he lay there in unbearable pain. The hunter searched from the top of the dune, looking around from his camel. Slowly, the young deer dragged himself into a bush and hid. Night fell. Stars sparkled above. The deer lay there starving, dying of thirst, crippled with broken legs. Yet all he could think of was his mother. The thought of her thirst pierced his heart. He forgot his own suffering and remembered only hers. He tried to rise but could not. tears welled up. Just as he was helpless, so was his mother. Just as he could not move, neither could she. Perhaps both would die. His heart ached that he could not bring her water. He lifted his head toward the star-filled sky and cried out, "O my Lord, send down rain, for you alone are my Lord." His painful cry reached the heavens. A voice came from above. "You ask for rain, yet it has already been decreed that for the next 10 years, no rain will fall in Cholistan." At hearing this voice, the young deer felt a strange joy. He was proud that the Lord had replied to him at all. Forgetting his grief and helplessness, he tried to rise but couldn't. In sheer joy, he beat his broken legs against the sand and cried out, "Still, you are my Lord." The mercy of God overflowed. How could the Creator abandon his creation? A helpless deer, broken and dying in a barren desert, yet still proclaiming his Lord. God commanded the clouds to pour, lightning crackled, and heavy rain began to fall. The young deer kept beating his legs against the sand, crying, "Still, you are my Lord." It rained throughout the night. At dawn, the young deer saw water everywhere. Gathering his strength, he tried to stand and slowly, painfully limped his way back. And at last, he reached his mother, alive, waiting for him. It is said that whenever a black deer, helpless with thirst, lifts its head toward the sky, God's mercy stirs and rain pours down, covering the desert with green once again.
When faith rises from the heart, mercy pours from the skies.